watching Diversity in Automotive with Shyann Malone.
Hi everyone, I'm Shyann Malone. Welcome to Diversity in Automotive on CBT News, a show dedicated to the diverse voices, perspectives, and experiences within retail automotive. And beyond that, we are diving into the need for increased representation across the industry. Joining me now, we have Sean Johnson, the General Manager of Porsche Brooklyn. Welcome, Sean.
Oh, hello. How are you? Good.
Glad to have you. So you've been in the business since 1998. How did you get involved in retail automotive?
Well, quick story. I got out of college, graduated from Lincoln University, and they had a program with Pathmark. I don't know if you've ever heard of that supermarket. They're up in the Northeast. They're no longer around. So I worked in that industry for 7 years. Paid pretty good, but it was very taxing, very demanding job, more than one would think as far as the supermarket industry goes. And I said, I want to make a change. And as I was starting to make a transition, of course, they wanted to promote me to other things in that business. And I was like, you know what, I had enough. And I answered an ad for a car ad in Delaware. And that's where I was, when I got out of college, I ended up living in Delaware with my ex-girlfriend. And so I answered the ad and I went and interviewed. And I remember interviewing the owner of the company. His name was Michael Hynansky. It was the son. And there was a gentleman by the name of Al Perone. He's God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. But at the time they interviewed me and they would ask me the question, you know, why do you want to do this? And one I looked at because it said you can make good money. And then on the other side of it, I said that, you know, I aspire to be, you know, someday owner or general manager or some sort of that. And I meant that. And when I got into it, I initially hit the ground running to a degree. They called me lucky. One of my guys, Bill Barnett, was my first sales manager. I don't forget his name because he really helped me out a lot, right? He really clinged on to me. And he said, he started calling me Spider-Man because every one I touched, I sold, right, initially. And that wasn't the case through my whole career, but it stuck with me. I said, oh, I can do this. And from there, it kind of took off. And within 2 years of being in that job, I got promoted to management within a couple of years because I had some qualities that I learned from Pathmark, and I had aspirations on just continue to grow as a person. And then I took off from there and worked my way through.
And with decades of experience, I imagine you've seen a lot, right? Has the amount of diverse leadership, especially at the top, changed since when you first started?
It hasn't changed much in my eyes, and I keep a serious focus on it. Mm-hmm. And like even from when I became a manager at the store I was at, and I owe that company a lot. I was with them for about 17 years. I was the only manager of color in a position of authority. You know, a sales manager. We had a finance manager, Sam Odenkara. I can remember the guys who were there in positions of that were minorities, Sam Odenkara and a guy named Tony Copeman that worked with us for a little bit, but they were in the finance side of it, was primarily just direct that end of the business. But as far as being in charge of personnel and things like that, I was it. And going through that, and for a company to be around and be that successful, I was surprised that, you know, that there wasn't a lot of minorities in general, specifically black men or black women, being in positions to run their stores. With that being said, I obviously kept my head down and I'd stay true to who I am. And I believe in that, right? And I didn't want to act like somebody who I wasn't. And I wanted to stay who Sean was, but I still learned from people around me. And I wanted to also give other people an opportunity to be a part of our team.
How important is mentorship in this industry? And did you have one?
I did. I had several. Besides Mr. Hynansky and Michael, and I said I owe everything where I'm at today to them. Is because I learned a lot. They were too, but one of them, the one guy I have to mention, his name is Hank Berry. He was a GM that I come across in my career, and I call him Chief. And he has a connection to this day with a lot of us from that era. You know, when we started in the early 2000s for about 6, 7, 8 years, and he taught me a lot: how to be fair, how to treat people as they are, how to be involved. And he was a roundtable kind of person, and it was we fit the same kind of personality, and it kind of took that right there made my career grow tremendously when I worked under his tutelage, and a lot of us did. But him specifically, we just kind of hit it off, and to this day, we still communicate. He's retired, and he kind of inspired me too in ways too, because he was always ahead of the game. You know, his retirement was set. You know, he had his money put away. He didn't live above his means, and I kind of followed the same kind of suit. And I learned a lot from him in that aspect. And he always said, "Prepare for the rainy day," that type of thing. And I learned a lot. He was my guy.
That's awesome. I think, you know, even being within the Black community, whenever you are doing something that's a little bit more unique, it's not your typical doctor or lawyer, right? And you do get the questions. Right. You can either, you know, take it offensively, like, what do you mean? You know, what am I doing? Or you can say, I'm in, you know, retail automotive. Have you heard of it? Or do you know, the fruits of the labor, what it can provide for me and my lifestyle, as you as well, you know, especially when you talk about the youth in the community. So I admire that. You know, I have a huge question that's been on my mind the entire interview. It's pressing. What's your favorite Porsche?
Oh, man. Well, I can say all of them.
Yeah.
My favorite actually is you would think the 911 is the Taycan, the all-electric vehicle.
Okay.
That's my favorite car. That's what I drive. My wife drives one. I fell in love with the technology of it. It has a feel. The 911 is so iconic. It's a two-door car. It's a sports car to the fullest. But the Taycan kind of fills that void, right? It's an awesome vehicle. It's environmental, but it looks so much like a Porsche, right? But it's also it actually shows a side of some kind of conservatism a little bit because you're driving something that's green. Mm-hmm. But the car is an awesome car. It's my favorite car. Love it.
People would ask me, because we've had our fair share of a variety of sports cars and fun. It's something about the sophistication of a Porsche, I feel like. You know, you feel some type of way. Like, it's definitely sporty and it's got that aspect of it, but it's got that smooth, slick type of feel. And they are definitely very fun to drive. Talk to me about your proudest moments so far in your career.
I would say probably now. The opportunity that the Brian Miller family had given me to run this store, open this store up, being a minority and treating me no different than this, other than a man, being who I am, and hiring a very young and diverse staff, starting from scratch. And this is a tough brand to get going once, because it's a small company overall compared to your Mercedes and BMW. So, you know, and our car is more of a want, not a need to a degree, although we have an entry level like the Macan and all, but our cars are still more expensive. But my proudest moment to date is being here, working for this company and the people that I work for. They treated me nothing but with my utmost respect. And I owe a lot to them on it. And they allow me to run a store. They not a lot of input. Sometimes it can be a little bit like, am I doing a good job or not? Because they don't communicate that way. But when you do something wrong, they will let you know. That's awesome. But overall, I'm very proud of what we have accomplished so far at the store today.
You mentioned recruiting young and diverse. Anything you do that's outside of the box to do that, to get those?
Yeah. I stepped back to my days of getting into the business, right? From that aspect of it, like the things that I observe, I'm a very observant person. I keep things simple. And the things that I didn't like about the industry, I said, one day, if I ever get an opportunity to really be in control, I'm going to not do that. I'm going to be more flexible. I'm going to be more diverse and give people opportunities that deserve it and give them a shot, and not be gun shy if they fail, right? And just hire the best people available, no matter who they are. And that has transferred to where I am today.
I know obviously you have your day-to-day that you deal with and issues, and you obviously said you're very proud of where you are today, right now. Do you realize, though, how much of an impact you have on others?
I do. I take it serious, too. I really do, because I try to carry myself well. But I'm a very silly person. I can be both ways, you know, and I want people, what I try to portray is like, be yourself. Like, you can be successful and be who you are, but you got to be conscious of your environment, though. Everything ain't for every time, right? And I try to carry myself that way, and I try to give that same, you know, kind of, you know, example to people that I work with as well. And I allow everyone here to be themselves, but when to turn it off and turn it on, right? Because everyone don't accept certain things a certain way. So you got to be able to be a chameleon a little bit and fit in where you need to fit in. And sometimes you just stay who you are, you know? So
What's next for you, Shyann?
hopefully ownership.
Yeah.
Hopefully ownership one day. That's the aspiration. I know before I took this position and I was the GSM over at Conshohocken, I had Ford had approached me about an ownership position. But they, I feel they were qualified for everything. And a recruiter had called me, a brother by the name of Rodney. And he told me, he said, has Ford called you yet? And I told him, no. And he said, they probably won't. He said, what you have to do is you got to go knock down doors. You got to go see who's trying to do something, maybe to sell or something like that. So hopefully in the future, I love where I'm at right now. I learned a lot, and I feel I have a huge responsibility to the Miller family. I want to make sure this store really does what it's supposed to do, and also help the people that I work with grow and present more opportunity for them as well. But that's definitely in my plans in the future.
Awesome stuff. Well, Shyann, it was a pleasure. Shyann Johnson, the general manager of Porsche Brooklyn. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Shyann. I appreciate it very much. And I would love to do this again if you need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank all of you for watching this episode of Diversity in Automotive.
Thanks for watching Diversity in Automotive with Shyann Malone, exclusively on CBTNews.com.